Hello everyone, and welcome to Humble Impressions, where I'm going to be taking a look at Humble Bundle games and seeing if they're worth playing. First one up this week is Tharsis. Planned on getting this out earlier this week, but it didn't happen, so may just end up looking at one of these games this week, but normally I think I'm going to try to look at 2 or 3, depending on how much time I have and depending on what games are in the bundle. So anyway, Tharsis is a survival dice game. It was in the survival humble bundle this week, and it's in the lower tier, I believe the dollar tier. Tharsis is a space survival game with dice. Kind of seems to be FTL plus dice, or at least that seems to be what they were going for. The first part of this is just going to be me kind of explaining the game. I actually went through a fairly lengthy tutorial. I actually recorded audio during all of that, but it was probably about 20 to 30 minutes of tutorial. Really only the first 10 minutes was heavy tutorial, but either way, it's a whole lot of explanation that I really just kind of want to skip over. I think I can summarize it a lot faster and then just show you kind of the meat of the game a little sooner. So, alright, let's just go ahead and dive into this and I'll show you what it is. Okay, so in Tharsis, you're controlling a ship and you're trying to get to Mars. You have different crew members, different areas of your ship. You're trying to just basically manage everything, put out fires, and make it to Mars. There's different areas of the ship that give you different bonuses depending on what you do in those. It's all based on dice rolls, but certain ones you can harvest food, regain dice, hull repair, which is up in the left corner. It's how much damage your ship can take. You can see currently we've got like 6 bars of hull, and then there's 2 red bars, which mean there's 2 impending damage, which are from events, which are these triangles. These 2 triangles, those are both events that are going to cause damage, or at least the one on the right is going to cause damage. The one on the left doesn't actually cause damage. So anyway, we're going to kind of look at what happens. You first select a crew member, then select the unit you want them to go to, and then hit deploy. After that, you're going to be taken to a screen that has a whole lot of stuff going on. The top part is the repair you're trying to do, which you're pretty much always doing some kind of repair. So you need 23 in order to repair it. And you basically get that 23 by just dragging dice into that repair slot. But you've got other things you can do with your dice too, so it's not all about hitting 23. If you hit a 2 or 3, there's 2 blue dice that say stasis. That's actually going to lock those dice, so you can't re-roll. Normally you can re-roll the number of times, depends on the person. Most people can re-roll twice. But you see that one actually just locked. So it's blue and you can't roll it again. But luckily you can still use those dice, so at least they're not useless. They just can't be re-rolled like your other dice can. On the right side, this particular unit has hull repair, so you can actually put dice in there in order to repair your hull some. The hull repair thing, all the dice actually have to be equal that are going into that. So it would have to be, if you're filling up just 2 slots, it would have to be, both would have to be 2s, or both would have to be 5s, or something like that. Looks like I don't use that here, but they all have to be equal, whatever goes into there. The number of dice you put in there is going to determine how much of that bonus for that area you earn. So looks like I'm going back into it. So hull repair, 1 dice actually doesn't do anything. You can see that earn area in the bottom. 2 dice will actually earn me 2 hull repair, and 3 dice that are all equal will earn me 3. Like I said, I don't think I used it this time, but you'll see it later on. The dice hold area on the bottom right, that's actually, if you roll, you can place dice into there and then re-roll the remaining dice. So you can choose to only re-roll part of your dice. Each time you roll, you just hit that roll icon in the bottom, which you've probably seen me hit already. On the left side, which I'm using it now, is a class ability. The class ability is, the captain has a specific one, the mechanic has a specific one. Sometimes it's they get to re-roll, sometimes it's, I think the mechanic can repair 1 hull, which maybe is even what I did there. The only key with that is most of them say 5 and then an up arrow, meaning the number you put in there has to be greater than 5. it's kind of a game about allocating your dice. You're going to roll and you're going to try to allocate dice correctly in order to get things repaired and then avoid issues like this one. You can see, well, one of those dice goes into stasis, but if I had rolled a 1, it would have actually caused this person an injury, which if you look at their character portrait on the right side, she's got like 2 health bars out and she just took 1 damage. So now she's down to 1. And so I'm trying to roll for trying to get a higher number. There's no way I can get enough here. Looks like I can repair all but 1. So I decide to go ahead and use all of that for repair except for the 1. Probably take the doctor down, and the doctor is going to help finish that out. So the doctor, her class ability is to give 1 health to another crew in the module. So I don't know if I use that here. I may do the reduced stress on the right here, but basically I could take that 5 or a 6 and put it in that class slot that raises, that'll give the other person, So I'm going to give the other person in this module 1 health. I'm also using the module ability on the right that reduces stress for the active crew member, which is this person. Okay, so that takes care of that event. Now there's going to be some impending damage, but first we're going to have a cutscene here. I've mostly muted the cutscene. This one doesn't really give any spoiler information. I'm not even sure if there's really a story to the game, but I'm going to skip over most of the cutscenes for the sake of it. In between each session that you saw before, you get this choose side project to do. You have to choose one of these. Usually you can get a couple bonuses, but there's also a cost to it. So on the left you see +2 assist, but they're also going to gain 20 stress. On the right, 1 health for all the crew, but they're also going to gain 20 stress. So it's all about deciding which one you can deal with, which one works out the best for you. If you're low on health, you'll probably choose the health one. If you're, low on food, there's sometimes a food one, things like that. So you choose whichever one you need to. Okay, so here was the first really interesting twist to the game. During the tutorial, we had somebody blow up, and I'm guessing we put them into some kind of storage. I believe that's what they say. And they've apparently been well preserved, and we're potentially going to eat them. So now you get to decide if your crew is going to eat some juicy astronaut steak or if you're going to keep feeding them regular food. I believe I do feed one of them some astronaut here in a minute, but basically the food gives people dice to work with. So the regular food gives them +3 dice, the astronaut steak gives them +2. Looks like I need really dice on the first 3 people. So, and I've only got 2 food, so leads me to, I believe, I end up giving food to 2 of them, and then I decide to give astronaut meat to the others. See there we go. I had the doctor eat astronaut. So you really need to have some food going into this phase so that you can restore the dice. If you don't, then you're not going to have as much to work with, and you're going to have a harder time dealing with these issues as they pop up. Okay, so now we've started this phase again to assign 2 more disasters that are going to happen, 2 more triangles we have to deal with. Going into the first one here, and you can see that there are now 3 dice that you have to avoid. The 1 is going to be an injury. Rolling a 2 is actually going to be void, which means the dice just disappears. And the 3 is actually going to be the stasis, which locks a dice. Here I'm actually going to use an assist. So I don't know if you saw it or not, but there's assists in the top right corner next to food. An assist will actually prevent one of those bad things from happening. You replenish an assist, I think every turn. At the end, you replenish an assist. You can also get them through research, which I'll explain shortly. But anyway, they can be very helpful in preventing terrible things from happening to your people that are in those, your astronauts. So I ended up having to send a second person back to finish this off. It was 1 short of being repaired. He's going to roll. Yeah, he got injured and 1 dice ended up locked. And that actually can be a problem as you try to re-roll. You start to be concerned that you're going to injure yourself yet again. I'm not sure why I put those dice in hold. I was still learning kind of right now. I still didn't really understand fully what was going on. I do eventually get a better idea of what's going on. Looks like I'm going to go for the hull repair here. So if I put a 4 here, the 1-4 would do nothing. If I put the second one in, it's going to do 2 hull repair. If I did a third one, it's going to do 1 more hull repair. So looks like I'm going to go with the 2 hull repair. Yeah, I'm going to take the stasis dice. I'm going to put that down in the bottom for research, giving me 1 point of research. The dice sit in research until you use them. The research is basically kind of just quick abilities to help you along. You can see one of them is like quick patch, which is 1 hull. One of them is cost 4 research, and it gives 1 die to all crew. One of them reduces stress, and then you can also use, there's a reroll button at the right side. It'll cost you 1, but you can reroll all of those and get new abilities that you can use. Also found it interesting, the doctor's dice are now red and drop blood everywhere, I think because of the cannibalism. So that's interesting. So this one completed the event. That ended that safely. I think I've got one person that still hasn't done anything. And yeah, I'm going to send them to try to get food. So there's no event going on here, but this greenhouse, I can also harvest food. So I'm trying to roll and see if I can harvest as much food as possible so that at the end of this turn, I can, in theory, feed people and get them more dice back. And so yeah, now I've come up with 3. So I'm going to put 2, 2, and 2, giving me 2 more food. And it looks like I'm going to put the other dice into research. At this point, I'm actually going to use some of the research here in a second. First thing I'm going to do is I just re-rolled, or no, I'm going to re-roll. I'm going to re-roll these and see if I can get something different. So it's going to cost me 1 of my research, but yeah, I did get some new ones, and I'm going to end up using this +2 assist, which gives me, up in the right corner, I now have 2 of the blue assist bars, which will prevent me from taking damage or losing dice and dealing with other issues. And then it loops back again. So now I'm at the portion where I decide what I'm going to do. I can prevent stasis for a turn, which I think at the time of recording, or like when I was playing this, I actually didn't realize what stasis really was. But it would cost me 1 dice for all crew. I can also reduce stress, which looks like what I did. So at this point, my food situation isn't anywhere near as bad, so I don't believe I use any of the astronaut steaks. But I do give the captain, it looks like, food, and I think, yeah, that's good. So now I get new events. I got 2 more events. The right one is going to do 2 damage. The left one is going to cause some kind of a system to fail. I still don't really understand what that is. One thing I haven't talked about is up in the top section, and disappeared. Up in the top section, it shows you the amount of weeks you have left, and you can usually see the next week what's going to happen to you. So you can see that you've got like 2 fairly bad events coming, and there'll be like 2 red triangles above that week, or it'll be like a red triangle and a yellow triangle, meaning, you know, the yellow one is usually not as bad. It's probably like that system failure we have on this one. And it kind of helps you plan a little bit, and that's kind of where the deeper gameplay here is. It's about trying to figure out how to put out the fires you need to, sometimes literal fires, and survive the things that you need to survive, yet keep the resources you need. So regaining dice, getting food so you can regain dice, getting assists, all these things really help you towards surviving to the end, which actually in my first playthrough I did survive till the end. I didn't expect to, so definitely, while there's some similarity in surviving in space like FTL, yeah, I didn't even come close to surviving the first time in FTL. So it was a little on the easier side, but compared to like a game like FTL, so it's not a super hard game, but it's been fun. I actually do plan to play a little more of this, and it was easily worth the $1 for that first tier of Humble Bundle. It was definitely, I mean, I got enjoyment out of, you know, what you're seeing here. Like I said, I plan on playing it again, so it's definitely fun. It's not a perfect game. It's got cutscenes that are a little odd. They are kind of interesting. I'm trying to leave them out of this video, but they kind of tell some kind of a story. I'm not sure exactly what that story really is. It's kind of a... I don't even know how to put it. I really can't describe it without kind of spoiling it. I'm not really sure if there's really even enough there to spoil, but there is something there. It's an interesting game. I don't particularly care for dice games usually, but this was interesting. And like I said, it's well worth the $1. I may take a look at some of the other games in the bundle, but yeah, so far this one, yeah, definitely seems to be interesting. I wouldn't expect to spend more than a few hours with it, but like I said, can't beat the price. And I could be wrong. This may actually have a lot more replay value than I'm giving it credit for, because, I mean, as you're seeing here, this is my mission complete screen when I finished that first playthrough, which was partially a tutorial, and it's on easy, it looks like. So, yeah, maybe there's a whole lot more to go for. I'm not a big one to keep playing for score screens. Getting a higher score, things like that, doesn't really do too much for me. Unlocks, things like that, actually keep me coming back. But yeah, if you actually look at missions, now that I've done the tutorial, there's a whole bunch of different kinds. There's some that are actually training, and I'm not sure how many of those I actually did. Looks like just different scenarios for the most part. So there actually could be a lot of depth here. I'm not digging that far into this game at the moment, but there could be more depth here than I'm giving it credit for. But I can tell you, to me, it's at least worth $1, as long as you have no real strong aversion towards dice in a game, or survival games, in which case this whole survival Humble Bundle is probably not for you anyway. Okay, so that's all I've got. Thank you for taking a look at the video. If you like the video, maybe subscribe, maybe give it a thumbs up. Feel free to leave comments below, and check back later. I'm going to be trying to do a whole bunch of videos on these Humble Bundle games as they come out, and hopefully get them out faster so I can do 1 or 2 videos at least on each Humble Bundle, at least every one that I have potential interest in, because there's really no point in me reviewing games that, or giving impressions on games that I have no interest in. It's not going to help you, it's not going to help me. So anyway, thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you next time.